Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for Friday, November 19th, 2021. This Sunday is Survivor Series. We're less than 48 hours away. NoDQ.com will have you covered with live results coverage, and I will also be back Sunday night to recap the show. Monday is my birthday. We're going to have a special birthday edition of the Raw recap this coming Monday. Make sure you guys tune in for that. But first, we got SmackDown. Walter Cruz was there in... Where was this show? I apologize, Walter, for forgetting the location. Oh, Hartford. Hartford, Connecticut, which was the site of WrestleMania 11 back in the day. I believe No Way Out 2000 also took place there, if I'm not mistaken. But Walter sent in a $5 super chat. He says, still watching the dark match from SmackDown. He says, can't be in the chat but have to show support to the site. He says, have an awesome night, No DQ Galaxy. Much appreciated, Walter. And I hope you had a great time at the show. Thank you for sending me the notes from the show tonight. I appreciate that. We kicked off SmackDown with the Usos in the ring. And they had the throne and the crown of Xavier Woods in the ring. They introduced Roman Reigns, the Tribal King. He came to the ring. Paul Heyman cut this promo about Reigns being the king. Reigns wanted to know whose idea it was to do this big celebration. He was not happy. Everybody was pointing fingers, and Reigns said that he does not need a crown to be acknowledged. He took the crown. The only reason he took the crown was because he could. We had Xavier Woods come down to the stage. He said that all the things in the ring, their material possessions, they do not make a king. Xavier wanted to face Roman Reigns one-on-one without the Wet Bandits, aka the Usos, interfering. And he would show Reigns what a real king is made of. Reigns then threatened to stomp on the crown. And he stomped on the robe first. The Usos destroyed the scepter and the throne. Xavier finally had enough. When Reigns was going to stomp on the crown, Xavier tried to get into the ring. The Usos cut him off. And then Reigns, as the Usos were holding Xavier back, Reigns did in fact step on the crown, that son of a bitch. He destroyed the Burger King crown of Xavier Woods. This was kind of a goofy segment in my opinion. Like, Xavier getting upset over a crown that he could easily replace, especially when it looked so cheap. Like, it really did feel like a glorified Burger King crown that Roman Reigns was stomping on. For Xavier to get this upset about it, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I know Xavier loves King of the Ring and everything, but to get this worked up about it and this emotional about it, yeah, wasn't my favorite segment, to be totally honest with you guys. This is supposed to get me hyped up for the pay-per-view, and well, wasn't really feeling it too much. We had our first match of the evening, which was Sheamus versus Cesaro versus Jinder Mahal versus Psycho Jet Black's favorite wrestler, Ricochet. No entrances for Cesaro and Jinder Mahal, which means you can basically rule them out as far as potential winners go. Ricochet looked pretty good in this match. He did a big dive onto all three guys. Cesaro got his moment where he got to do the big swing to Jinder Mahal. He put on the sharpshooter, but Ricochet broke that up. Ricochet then hit a 630 to Jinder. But then Sheamus stopped that pinfall attempt. Sheamus hit a bro kick to Ricochet. Cesaro broke that up. And then you had Cesaro on the verge of winning the match when Ridge Holland showed up, ran down for the distraction, and Sheamus picked up the victory over Cesaro with the brogue kick. Match was pretty good. Not really a surprise that Sheamus won the match here. Him and Ridge Holland paired together. And Ironhide 48 says, I have a feeling that Jinder and Cesaro will be released next. I don't think those two. And by the way, I will be talking about the releases. We had 8 more people released from WWE. I will talk about that after I finish the SmackDown recap. Stay tuned for that. And if you guys can, please share a link to this video. Tell a friend. Spread the word. We had Jeff Hardy backstage interviewed about Survivor Series. Jeff started to talk smack about King Corbin. And that's when Corbin and Madcap Moss interrupted the festivities. Moss made some stupid redneck joke, and then Adam Pearce warned Corbin to behave, to act like a professional. And then Adam Pearce made a match, Madcap Moss versus Jeff Hardy. Backstage, Sheamus and Ridge Holland had a promo. Sheamus said that Ridge believing in him almost brought a tear to his eye. And Ridge said if anybody had a problem with him helping Sheamus, they could find the two of them drinking it up in a pub. Oh, apparently I called Corbin King Corbin. I mean, at this point, I would say that gimmick was better than Happy Corbin. We had a pretty good video package for Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. WWE playing up on all the so-called backstage heat between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. And I'm looking forward to the match. Now, are they going to do some kind of Survivor Series style screw job at the pay-per-view? We'll have to wait and see. We had Aaliyah and Naomi versus Shayna Baszler and Natalya. I mean, this wasn't really much of a match. It was like 2 minutes. Naomi got pinned when Naomi was counted out very quickly by the referee. Natalya went for the pin on Naomi. Referee counted a very fast 1, 2, 3. The fix was in. The referee was paid off. But by who? I mean, we all have the obvious culprit, but there'll be more on that in just a second here. Backstage, Sami Zayn was very upset about his documentary never being released, and Sonya Deville said that was all Adam Pearce's fault. The documentary, Sami being taken out of Survivor Series. But Sonya had an idea to get Sami back on the card. There is going to be a 25-man battle royal. They still have 25 random guys under contract. How about that? 25-men battle royal in honor of it being the 25-year anniversary of The Rock's debut. A bunch of guys are in that match. You can check out the list at nodq.com. And then we had the referee from that women's match show up. She asked Sonya Deville if she did a good job. Way to make it obvious that there was a fix, even though we all knew it anyways. But if you're the referee, wouldn't you keep it private or whatever? But anyways, Sonya said that this referee is being crazy, basically. And Sonya claimed that she had no idea what this referee was talking about, that there was no fix. So yeah, that was a stupid move by that referee to try and talk to Sonya on live television in front of millions of people. We had Jeff Hardy versus Madcap Moss. And by the way, I'm not so sure we're going to see The Rock. I know people are getting their hopes up. Maybe The Rock shows up after this battle royal and gives the winner a rock bottom. I'll believe it when I see it. It would be really cool, but I'm not getting my hopes up. Anyways, Jeff Hardy versus Madcap Moss. Hardy said since Happy Corbin is out there, Hardy might as well have someone in his corner. And that led to Drew McIntyre, or Drew McIntyre, whatever you want to refer to him as. He showed up to even the odds, and that he did. Corbin attempted to interfere during the match, but Drew McIntyre took Corbin, threw him over the announce table, and then Hardy countered a suplex from Madcap Moss into an inside cradle and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. After the match was over, McIntyre hit a Claymore to Corbin for good measure, and then Jeff Hardy hit the Swanton to Madcap Moss. I still feel like Jeff is going to be the first one eliminated on Sunday. Would not shock me. Caleb Jacobs and Ratnick in the chat room think maybe Stephanie McMahon will show up and feud with Sonya Deville. Then they got to move this forward. Like, at some point, either Sonya's got to get in the ring or Naomi's going to go heel and join up with the bloodline. But we need something to happen here. It's getting a little old now. And Paul Heyman accepted Xavier Woods' challenge for a match against Roman Reigns in the main event segment. We then had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Angel. Not Angel from the television show of the early 2000s. Not the Vampire Angel, but Angel Garza. And Garza went right after Shin. Humberto was out there. He interfered. He grabbed Shin's leg. Rick Boogs evened the odds. And then Nakamura picked up the win with the Kinshasa. So how about that? The Intercontinental Champion actually won a match. A non-title match. He actually won. And after the match was over, Humberto took in a cheap shot and then ran away. And that was that. So not much to say about it. Nakamura won a match, so I guess that's a positive. We had Sonya Deville talking backstage with Sasha Banks and Shotzi. And basically, Sonya wanted them to get along, and she said after the match, she wanted them to shake hands. But they were not getting along. Shotzi said Sasha is a petty, vindictive brat. Sasha said she's the captain of the team at Survivor Series, and people only know who Shotzi is because of her, yada, yada, yada. And then we had the match, which was probably the best thing on the show, Shotzi versus Sasha Banks. By the way, Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat with a result from the dark match main event. Big E pinned Jey Uso for the win. Good night for real. Thank you for that, Walter. Darren G says stick to the topic. Well, Walter's good. He's all good. He gets a pass on that one. Thank you for that, Walter. Anyways, Sasha Banks versus Shotzi. Don't call her Blackheart. Sasha did the Three Amigos early on, and then they ended up on the outside of the ring. Sasha missed a Meteora, and then Shotzi threw Sasha into the steel steps and then put Sasha's arm into the steps and started kicking the arm. For some reason, this was not a disqualification. Match continued. Went back and forth here between the two of them. Shotzi was doing some trash talking, calling Sasha trash, absolutely worthless. She sent Sasha arm first into the ring post, hit her ball pit senton, but then Sasha rolled to the outside of the ring, the veteran, and then Shotzi threw it back in the ring. Sasha regained the upper hand, put on a crossface, and even though she had a bad arm, she improvised. She used her leg for leverage with the crossface and picked up the victory. Really good match here. I love the finish. Creative stuff here. And afterwards, Sonya Deville showed up on the stage and she wanted the handshake. Sasha Banks helped up Shotzi, offered the handshake. Shotzi did shake hands, and then Sasha Banks hit her with the backstabber. And then went over to Sonya and said that she did what Sonya asked. She did, in fact, shake Shotzi's hand. So, of course, now on Sunday, can they coexist? Probably not. Mark Del Rio says he enjoyed the fight scenes in both Buffy and Angel. Well, that is Caitlin's favorite show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I had to make a reference to Angel, the character from that series. Both shows. And Matt Helm says, I like the Camp Crystal Lake t-shirt. Well, thank you for that, Matt. I appreciate it very much. I like it too. And it's cold in Michigan, so got to stay warm. We had a little vignette for Xia Li. It was like a comic strip, something about her family, and she's the protector of the family, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it was pretty cool. But I'm hoping that she'll actually be utilized and not released before she even gets a chance to do anything. Or do they bring her in for one match and then she gets released? Hopefully that doesn't happen and they actually do something with her. And Toni Storm, another newcomer. Hopefully she actually has a decent run. It's like, do we even get invested in these characters now, or do they end up getting released before we have a chance to even care about them? Dr. NXT Scorpio thinks Xia Li will be released at this point before she debuts. I hope that's not the case, but you just don't know at this point. Nobody's really safe. Toni Storm was interviewed, talked about how she was at Survivor Series 2 years ago as part of Team NXT. She's excited to now be part of SmackDown. She's not afraid of Charlotte. And she brought up how Charlotte does not play well with others and how Charlotte is difficult. Of course, this all being a reference to the reports about Charlotte. And Charlotte showed up, and Charlotte said after she gets through Becky Lynch, even though Toni Storm, in her opinion, does not deserve the match, Toni Storm will get her match with Charlotte Flair. There you go. Charlotte versus Toni incoming. And then we had our main event segment, which actually was not a match. Xavier Woods came to the ring. He cut a promo. He said Roman Reigns cannot beat him one-on-one, and he dared Roman to come out alone. And backstage, Reigns told the Usos to stay back. Reigns showed up, but it apparently was a trick because Paul Heyman was calling for the Usos, but there were no Usos. And as it turned out, the Usos had been attacked. They were thrown out to the stage area, and it was revealed that Big E was the one that attacked him. Big E, the WWE Champion, getting into a brawl with the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. And the Usos ran down to try and help. They got taken out with big endings, and then you had Xavier doing a big dive onto both Usos. But back in the ring, Roman Reigns hit a Superman punch to Big E. Roman Reigns went for the spear, but Big E was able to counter that. He was going to hit the big ending. However, Reigns did slip out, escape to the outside, and both guys had their little face-off with the championships. And that was the final segment before Survivor Series. Overall, show was decent. Was not a great show. I've definitely seen better go-home shows, but I've also seen worse go-home shows. I'm going to go with the B-. It was all right. Not really something you had to go out of your way to watch, although I did think that Sasha Banks and Shotzi had a pretty solid match. To me, that was the one thing you should go out of your way to watch. I thought that was pretty good. Hopefully, though, Shotzi's not going to be released in 2 weeks, and then this was all for nothing. She did lose, but it furthers the storyline between her and Sasha Banks. Dr. NXT Scorpio and Mark Del Rio give it a C+. A lot of B-. Mohammed, Lewis, Mike B, game is on 100. Caleb Jacobs with only a C. Don Bowen with a B. Caleb says WWE sucks. Looking in the chat room, 18% A, 40% with a B, 23% with a C, and 18% with a D. Colin Andrews says the buildup has been completely horrible. Kill off the pay-per-view already, but he does give the show a solid C. All right, so let's talk about the releases. 8 more people released from WWE on Thursday, and I'm not surprised about any of them, really. I am surprised that it happened so quickly. I thought that it might become a quarterly thing where people get released every 3 or 4 months. I did not expect 8 more people to be released 2 weeks after a ton of people were let go. And at this point, it's 79 people that have been released from WWE in 2021. It really sucks for the people that lost their jobs. I'm confident that most of them will find work outside of WWE. Maybe some of them will even return at some point. I'm not really surprised by the releases. I feel like it had to happen at some point. Just the releases in general. WWE stockpiled. They hoarded talent for the longest time. They had so many people, and a lot of them were just sitting on the sidelines. And then WWE went in a different direction. They started cutting people left and right. And now they're just taking all these people and moving on and bringing in new people. And they got tons of people in NXT, so it's not like they're going to run out of people anytime soon. Let's look at these names here. John Morrison, no surprise. They haven't done jack with him. And it's kind of sad because John Morrison, he came back beginning of 2020, and everybody was excited. Like, we all thought John Morrison was going to be taken seriously finally. He was going to get a big push. But pretty quickly, like within a couple months, it was clear they were just going to do Miz and Morrison again, and it was going to be comedy. They were going to be mid-card comedy acts. And that's really all John Morrison was over these past 2 years. He was Miz's sidekick and not much more. He had a chance here to do something, and they just cut him. I'm not surprised. At his age, and the fact that they've never taken him seriously, just didn't really react much to his release. I figured it was coming, especially when they cut his wife, Frankie Monet, Taya Valkyrie. When they let her go, I think that it was inevitable that Morrison was going to be cut as well. Hit Row let go. And when B-Fab was cut a few weeks ago, I think the writing was on the wall. I think that was the clear-cut sign that they had no interest in Hit Row, that they already gave up on the act. I feel like Hit Row, they were not given a fair chance. They came out for one segment with Sami Zayn. Crowd really did not react much to them, but you got to give them a chance to get over with a new audience, and they were not given that chance. I feel bad for the guys. Now, maybe Top Dollar did not do himself any favors by going on Twitter and taking shots at guys from AEW and doing these rap videos and saying stuff about Jinder Mahal. So I don't know what happened with those guys. If Top Dollar rubbed people the wrong way and he got let go, that's what's being reported on. But I do feel that they did not get a fair chance. They did not get a fair opportunity. And to me, it was a mistake to let them go. They should have had at least a good 6 months to try and succeed before you consider cutting them. Looking at some of the other names, Tegan Knox, not surprised, but she falls into the same category as Hit Row. Like, it was clear they were not going to give her a chance. They brought her up with Shotzi. It was a random pairing, and it really felt like she had no direction from the get-go. Maybe it's because of her injuries that they felt that they could not invest in her, but why call her up in the first place? It's just weird. Then you call her up, and then you let her go right away. Drake Maverick, I mean, I figured it was inevitable. I was surprised he lasted this long, quite frankly. I thought he was going to be cut a couple months ago when they started announcing people that were going to be released. The fact that they cut his tag team partner, Killian Dane, and kept him, I was surprised by that. Really entertaining guy, but, you know, he's far from the biggest guy in the company, maybe among the smallest guys in the company. And he's very entertaining, got a lot of personality, but they were never going to push him seriously. They just weren't. And WWE doesn't really believe in managers. They got a few, although they're not technically managers. You got Paul Heyman, you got MVP. Drake Maverick could have had a pretty decent run as a manager, but they just don't really put an emphasis on managers. So that's that for him. Drake Maverick is gone. Shane Thorne, absolutely no surprise. You know, the Retribution stuff flopped. They tried to give him some kind of goofy Outback gimmick, and that was never going to go anywhere. So, yeah, that's no shocker. Jackson Riker, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. Like, when they dropped the Forgotten Sons, I thought he was going to be gone. I'm really surprised. That whole thing with Elias, where they tried to make something with him, to me, that was a waste of time. And I've said this for the longest time. I never really saw anything in Jackson Riker. Was not a fan of him as Gunner in Impact. So I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. And that was that for the releases. And Matt Helm says Ricochet has not been released. Yeah, well, I'm not going to be surprised if he does get cut. But at the same time, like, I think he's a good guy to have around. Mike B says, who do you think is released next? Well, one guy that I'm surprised they haven't cut is Elias. Like, they have completely given up on him. They had him lose to Jackson Riker, a guy that they ended up cutting, and then they started airing these promos like they were going to go in a different direction with Elias, and they just dropped it. Yet he is still employed. So I don't know what the hell is going on with Elias, but like, it feels they have no plans for the guy. So why are you keeping him around? Really bizarre. And I feel bad for Elias because the crowd loved him. He was doing a lot of entertaining stuff, and he just kind of went into oblivion, went into mid-card hell, as they say. Yeah, sucks about the releases, and I suspect there will be more. WWE will continue to let people go, and AEW will pick up some. As far as who AEW might pick up, John Morrison, I think at least he'll get a couple matches. Bring him in as the veteran to work with some of the younger guys. Do not see Hit Row going to AEW unless they want to play off the real life stuff with the Young Bucks, but I don't think that's going to happen. Tegan Knox, probably. Tegan Knox, I could see going to AEW. John Morrison, I think the rest are unlikely. Drake Maverick probably goes back to Impact. I could see Jackson Riker going back to Impact. But how many guys can Impact pick up? Like, they're pretty much on a shoestring budget. Like, they're still running these shows in these small venues with a couple hundred people. Like, how are they gonna afford a lot of these guys? Like, they can only bring in so many, I think, unless they have a bigger budget that I'm not aware of. And Ring of Honor, of course, they're on hiatus, and their whole business model is changing. I mean, I hope that some of these promotions like Game Changer Wrestling and some of the other ones can grow, and these people will be able to have opportunities with these companies. So anyways, that's all I got for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your viewership and support. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like, tell a friend, spread the word, and I will see you all after the Survivor Series pay-per-view with a recap of the show. Take care. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all next time.